travelers across the United States are bracing right now for possible delays as air traffic control towers have seen major staffing shortages this week. Listen.
We were the last flight to leave Atlanta to come back to O'Hare, so we knew we were going to be delayed, and we didn't know when we were going to get here, actually.
On the plane, unfortunately, I found that my flight to Cleveland been pushed back for 2.5 hours, so I'll be here with you a little longer today.
Air traffic controllers are considered essential workers, so they're required to work without pay during the government shutdown. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says more controllers are calling out sick. And with staffing already tight, even a small number of controllers taking unscheduled time off can cause major disruptions. Joining us now from Reagan National Airport, just outside of Washington, D.C., is CNN's Pete Muntean. Pete, you know this issue. Just how bad are these shortages, and how much is that impacting flight delays right now?
Well, we're not totally out of the woods just yet, Wolf, on day 8 of the shutdown, and the Federal Aviation Administration is holding a planning teleconference, a conference call in about an hour's time. We know that Newark Approach Control, a facility that has been plagued by problems and staffing shortages for months now, was a concern earlier today during the morning shift because of short staffing. That has now dropped off the list, although on Tuesday we saw so many air traffic control facilities on the list of concern by the FAA that we typically don't see on the list. We're talking Houston, Dallas, Boston, Indianapolis, Philadelphia. And then there were the really big staffing problems, the delays at some of the country's busiest airports. At Chicago O'Hare, there was a ground delay program put in place, about a quarter of all flights delayed at Chicago O'Hare yesterday, a huge hub for American Airlines and United Airlines. Also at Nashville International Airport, the approach control facility there had to close down for about 5 hours, and the slack picked up by the control tower and the center facility in Memphis because of that. Not as dramatic as what we saw on Monday, though. That's when the control tower at Hollywood Burbank International Airport closed down for several hours, a condition known as ATC 0, essentially turning that large airport into what would be an uncontrolled airport that's typically used at smaller airfields around the country. I want you to listen now to NATCA Union President Nick Daniels. He says this is not part of some coordinated sick out, but you have to remember that 11,000 air traffic controllers are working without pay essentially right now in this government shutdown. There's already a nationwide shortage of air traffic controllers, and just a few of them, a handful of them calling out sick, can have an outsized impact. Listen.
Politicians are the only people that can end a shutdown. What you're going to see is the stress, pressure, and fatigue that air traffic controllers have to contend with, the very difficult world of managing this system already critically staffed and then wondering where our pay is going to come from and having that steady stream of income. That's the impact that I'm worried about.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy insists that flying is safe right now, and the Federal Aviation Administration will put into place these delays in case of a decrease in safety. They have to make it safe by putting into place these delays. By the way, air traffic controllers got their last full paycheck just this last Tuesday. Next Tuesday, they get one more paycheck, but it's a partial paycheck for work they have already done before the government shutdown begins. That'll be their last one, Wolf.
Yeah, it's day 7 of this government shutdown. It's only going to get worse if it goes on day after day after day. Pete Muntean, thank you very, very much. Pete's over at Reagan National Airport.
All right, so more airports are expected to see short staffing again today. Staffing shortages caused Nashville's air traffic control tower to go dark last night. And it's one of the many airports across the country where the shutdown's impact is being felt. At Chicago O'Hare, flights were delayed by up to 40 minutes yesterday.
We knew we were going to be delayed, and we didn't know when we were going to get here, actually.
On the plane, unfortunately, I found that my flight to Cleveland been pushed back for 2.5 hours, so I'll be here with you a little longer today.
I know there's been some instances of planes coming really close to each other, or having to circle, or things getting delayed, and I'm on a work trip right now, so it concerns me about being safe and also about getting home.
Joining us now to discuss Democratic Congresswoman Hillary Scholten, a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, one thing I'll say is that the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, he has been out there. He has been on top of this, even going back to some of the flight collisions and things like that. Here is how he is kind of framing what's going on. I want you to hear it.
And again, Burbank, 0 controllers came to work. I don't support that. They should come to work. They're supposed to come to work. But these
They
the
didn't miss a paycheck yet, so why aren't they coming to work? I mean, it's only been 6 days.
So, well, the paycheck, the pay cycle ended yesterday, right? Their paychecks come next week, and they see what's on the horizon, Brian. They're like, listen, do I see a resolution to the shutdown? I don't see it.
You can tell by the fact that he does not have an answer there. He's stuttering. He's falling all over himself. They know they're in the wrong here. This administration needs to reopen the government so that the American people can get back to business as usual. I flew in yesterday and we experienced delays. The holidays are coming up. This is going to continue to impact the American
But is the pain the
people.
point for Democrats? Meaning, the more it looks like disarray, the more you were able to say, look, this is their fault.
Absolutely not. This government shutdown is about fighting for a budget that the American people deserve and fighting for health care. The Republicans control all 3 branches of government. They could reopen the government today if they did one thing that 78% of the American people support, and that is continuing to extend the ACA tax credits. You hardly get to a place of unanimity like that among the American electorate, yet 78% of the American people support it. So why wouldn't we fight
But
for
do you
something
hear
that
any
the American
murmurings of a
people want?
conversation? We heard the
Look at what the
president sort of
president said
allude to
yesterday.
the idea that Democrats are talking. Do you know anything?
Look at what the president said yesterday. He knows this is a big deal. Premiums across the country could go up by as much as 75%.
But is there a conversation happening to end this crisis for Americans?
We are at the table. I am literally here in Washington because we were supposed to be voting this week. And I told my constituents I'm going to continue to show up, but they're not even at the table. This is not going to resolve unless Republicans show up. Respectfully, they're acting like children. I'm the mother of 2 boys, and my kids have better respect for the rules of negotiation, right? They need to be at the table, and they need to be talking about the ways that we can get this done.
Does it help to have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene speak up for health care subsidies?
It helps to have anyone speak up for advocating for affordable health care for the American people. And certainly, you're seeing them in disarray. They're scrambling. The president is talking about addressing health care. Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about addressing health care. 78% of the American people are talking about addressing health care. Why wouldn't we do this?
Well, you're making it sound easy, but we're still at a standstill. So
we certainly are, but Republicans, again, I wish we had as much power as they think we have and are trying to hand over to us, but they control all 3 branches of government. Under what iteration of the facts, are we responsible for opening the government? It's just simply a matter of fact.